Hi, here is Zapi speaking. Today we bring one other episode of A versus B video. And today we're going to talk about John Oliver versus Jerry Kushner. And the topic is about police brutalities. We heard a lot about this. And this week they have both give a speech in this topic. But their delivery is very, very fundamentally different. The key points that I want you to pay attention when we're watching the video afterwards is how the vocal variation help you to observe the information and how they make an impact from the speaker to the audience. Together with me today is Aaron, and he will join me as watching this video and provide comments. Without further ado, let's go right to the video. You want to say hi, Aaron, there?
Hello.
Awesome. And let's go into the video, see how they are doing things different. So first we have Jerry Kushner here. I just play for 10 to 20 seconds to show you a general idea of what it is.
Law enforcement community heard the cries from the community, saw the injustices in the system that needed to be fixed, and they responded by coming together to fix it, and it's been a great partnership to do that. Those reforms make our communities safer and have made our system fairer, and that's the type of action that we've been able to accomplish by working together. So what we've seen in the past is that the meetings together and the work together doesn't just result in reports and in nice talking points. It actually
Okay, just to be frank, it's not even halfway through, I already lose my attention. And my eyes are getting heavy. So what do you think, Aaron?
Well, I mean, he's trying to communicate information without giving people a chance to really process it. So there are no breaks in what he's saying, right? It's like when he's speaking, he fills every little gap with an and a so something. So he ends up with conjunctions and filler words between every single sentence, which means we can't possibly process the information. It's word vomit, right? It'd be like trying to read a book that was on one, it was a giant book on one giant piece of paper with no periods, no commas, no paragraph breaks, just continuously onward. It's not really feasible to pull information out of it. You can do it if you reread and reread and rewatch and rewatch, but you can't really get information out of it because there's no changes in the pitch of his voice. There's no changes in the volume. There's no changes in the speed. It's always the same flat rate with the same words in between. And the next thing I'll say is this, and we carry on. You don't really pull any information out. So we end up with this issue of he says a lot of information. He says a lot of words, but it's really hard to retain. I find myself thinking about other things halfway through. Anytime someone presents like that, it's not just Jared Kushner. Anytime someone speaks like that, I lose focus about halfway through. I start thinking about dinner. I start thinking about other things because there's nothing to hold my attention. There's no pops, there's no snaps, there's no changes, which is really what we need. We need surprises, we need changes, we need emotions, we need engagement. And he doesn't bring those things, unfortunately.
No, he doesn't bring it to the table. He feel like he has to be there. He's there because he really have something to say. So that itself can be one. But I also want to touch on the techniques part here. He used a lot of and so to connect different ideas. And actually, if any listener out there, you can try of what he's saying, but replace the and so with a pause. Mm-hmm. And you will see if that will make a difference. I will bet in his transition about what's happening and what is the action, he used a so to connect. Or if he just used a pause, I think the delivery will be much, much better. So that is what Jerry Kushner is doing about this police reform topic. Around the same day, John Oliver gave a same speech of the same topic. And I found that's really amazing, really entertaining to watch. And that has the same amount of information. Let's see how that clip is done.
Always happened before. After the unrest in the late 60s, a commission was set up to investigate and issue advice. Many of its conclusions resemble ideas like police demilitarization and broad reinvestment in marginalized communities that are still being pushed today. Now, testifying before that commission was the social scientist Kenneth Clark, and he made this observation, which remains depressingly true. He said, "I read the report of the 1919 riot in Chicago, and it's as if I were reading the report of the Investigating Committee of the Harlem Riot of 1935, the report of the Investigating Committee of the Harlem Riot of 1943, the report of the McCone Commission of the Watts Riot of 1965.
I think here is a good place to pause because John Oliver here actually citing a text, a very fair, dense text, but still I can still get the point. And can Aaron explain to us what did he do right to even explain those dense texts to us in a very informative way?
So I think, so just to draw the comparison, because we're comparing the two speakers, so they are covering similar topics, but in the opposite way. So where we talked about Jared Kushner saying very, very few breaks, he's not changing his voice, he's not pausing at all. John Oliver has all sorts of breaks. Admittedly, he doesn't pause a lot. He actually speaks very fast. I'd argue John Oliver speaks faster than Jared Kushner does, but he still manages to give us more time to absorb because he has these breaks, and he does it mostly through increasing volume or changing the way he says something. He speaks quickly, but it's almost like something exciting is happening, so he has to speak quickly to engage with it. So he makes it so much more engaging, and he makes this really intense eye contact with the camera, like he's telling us the most important thing in the world. And it's through that passion, that excitement, that he's able to build a lot of interest. And he also changes his tone a lot, so we'll go from high pitch to low pitch. He does a couple things like that at the end of the video, which we didn't watch, but he changes the way that he says things so frequently and with so much emphasis, and he weights things differently. He'll use a higher pitch to say almost a false hope or a hope of some kind, but he'll drop it down after for a more negative. And when we do that, we end up with a much stronger presentation because it's something that I actually want to listen to. Whether he says more or fewer words is irrelevant. He gets more information across because he gives us a way of absorbing. He holds our attention. Whereas with Jared Kushner, halfway through, my mind automatically goes to other things because there's a monotone behind it. Exactly. Instead, because of all the switches, it's very easy for me to stay hooked in to what John Oliver is saying, which makes it a much more powerful kind of speaking. Because whether or not he says as many words, whether or not there are many facts or items in there, I actually understand, listen, and pay attention to them.
Right. That's a very great point. And this first half of the video of John Oliver, he's prepared for his second half, actually. He gives us a good background, and we still listen. And then let's see how he ends with a nice lines to finish his whole speech. Mm-hmm. I'm going to switch to this video here. I'll skip his citing text. And then we start until the end.
Wonderland, with the same moving picture reshown over and over again, the same analysis, the same recommendations, and the same inaction. We're in the same shit now that we were in back then. And if you're not directly impacted by it, it is tempting to look for a reason to feel better about the world, to look at some cops kneeling and think, oh, well, we just need more of that. But we need so much more than that.
There is a beautiful ending, just right off from the bat, the way he used the same, the 4 times to produce this big, nice parallelism to bring his point. And then he ends in a very different way of the variation, and that's here how Aaron explained this in the second half of delivery.
Yeah, and I just to add on to what you said about the beauty of the language he uses, he ends with, we just need more of that, but we need more than that. And it's that kind of repetition of sounds and structure of the sentence, which is really nice. I like that a lot. In terms of him changing his voice or changing the way he delivers, so he says the line, oh, well, we just need more of that. When he's talking about what people who are unaffected, like to quote him, he's talking about people who are unaffected by the protests and things that are going on. He thinks that we may think that way, or people who aren't affected by it will have that higher pitch, that hopeful, but not 10 seconds earlier. He had this deep voice and he was saying, I believe the quote, I have it written down here, is, we are in the same shit now as we were back then, with a deeper voice.
Mm.
And then within 10 seconds of that, we go up to this high point. Well, that kind of switch is of course going to catch your attention, right? It's like switching a TV screen from dark blue to bright green. You're immediately going to be like, ooh, shiny. It's a way of catching our attention really dramatically and effectively. And I think that kind of thing is why people will watch shows like Last Week Tonight, but we often struggle to watch things like political discourse and debate, because political discourse and debate is boring. It's not presented enthusiastically, emphatically, or interestingly. It's presented monotonously. Whereas you look at John Oliver, or the last time we did Anderson Cooper or Stephen Colbert or whoever, and I mean, I guess those are all left-leaning people, so people may think that's the bias there, but I tend to think it's because they present in a way that's more engaging. So when we present in a way that actually is designed to keep someone's attention, of course I'm going to keep watching. Of course I'm going to listen, and I'm also more likely to agree because you've got my attention. And I think that's an important point to make. If you want people to agree with you, you have to keep their attention. You make the best point in the world, but nobody listens, who cares? It's about keeping the attention with those kind of breaks, the variations in our voice, the variations in emotion. So I'd argue John Oliver was passionate and emotional, whereas Jared Kushner was dispassionate and emotionless. So it's all these things that come together with adding in our voice, using language in interesting ways, changing the amount of emotion and the passion, but most importantly, in some way, breaking things up.
Yes.
Put in a pause. Change your voice. Break things apart. Break the speech into pieces, be it with your voice, with pauses, with whatever, and you'll hold my attention. But if everything is connected together with an and, or a so, I'm going to fall asleep, or I'm going to think about something else.
Exactly. Aaron did a beautiful demonstration. I use the word demonstrate. He just not telling us. He act of how this difference is. And then look back to the question I asked at the very beginning is pay attention to how this variation making a big difference in terms of how the audience absorb information. I really hope the audience here will listen to this and try it out in your own speech. Just take a pause. It feels like you're wasting time, but it's not. Because if you deliver something people are not taking in, and that's really wasting time. So that is the key message of this video. Take a variation, make a pauses, let the information sink in. I think that's a very nice wrap for our video tonight. We get our major point come across, and by comparing these two videos, I hope you like this. If you really love it, give a thumbs up and follow our channel. There's more content to come. And here is Zapi speaking. See you until next time.
See you.